Okay, good morning and welcome. This is the Big Chill Shelter Drill exercise for Concord and Carlisle here at CCHS on November 18. This is one of our community efforts to ready Concord and Carlisle and all our citizens so that we can be self-reliant and take care of each other if we have an emergency of some kind, a natural disaster or a difficult storm or something worse. Here we are in the lower gym at CCHS doing a shelter drill where we set up various stations that will simulate what would happen around this high school if we had a small or large group in here, a group of evacuees who had to leave their homes from Concord or surrounding communities and be sheltered here. This is something that in some difficult situation could be required of us by local officials such as our fire chief and emergency operations head, or even something that was state or national in scope. And again, this is all designed to be preventive and educational so that we can, as citizens, help out our public safety officials. What we're going to do is go around from station to station and take a look at the different functions that would be occurring, would be underway in a shelter. And we're going to start right at the essential registration table where people would come in, check in, and volunteers, town volunteers and Red Cross volunteers and others would be determining who's coming in and what is the need that they have. They might have an immediate need for communications with family members. They might have an immediate health need or issue. They might have an immediate security concern. They might have an immediate need for food or comfort of some kind. Or they might be fairly well off, so to speak, for an emergency situation and merely need to check in, identify themselves, and go find a place to grab a cup of coffee and wait out the event here at the shelter. So if you'll follow me, we'll head over to the registration table and chat with the folks over there. So here I am at the registration table, and I want you to imagine that I'm just stopping in, and I tell you that I've just been dropped off here and really need some help. I was told to come here.
How are you feeling?
I'm a little chilly today, actually. I had to leave my house, and I couldn't grab my sweater or my coat.
All right, well,
I'm very concerned. I left my dog at home, and you wonder how long I'm going to be here.
Well, we'll take care of you here. I want you to know that. And we'll take care of you getting some help for your dog. First of all, though, I'd like to get you registered so we can get you warmed up, get you a hot drink, and take care of you.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you.
Great.
So you'll be taking down various information, if I'm correct?
I'm going to take your name and address.
Okay.
And other people in your family if you've brought anybody with you. And some information about your home and your situation that you left.
Good. And this is a requirement that I provide this information so that you, one of the volunteers here, could know what kind of care was necessary for me.
Exactly.
Okay. And this is information that is kept quite confidential, isn't it?
It's very confidential.
There would be no local reporter, such as this fellow here, able to see this.
Exactly.
Am I correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
I would require an ID from you if you brought it with you.
And if I didn't have one, you wouldn't turn me away, but you would.
We don't turn anybody away.
Yes. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Great.
Okay. And so after 5 or 10 minutes here, if you needed to send me immediately to another station, what are some of the stations you might be sending me to?
Well, it sounds like you might like to go down and talk with somebody in health services who could make sure that you're warm and all your medical care is taken care of.
Okay.
And then I'd probably like to send you to the information area so we could find out if you have power on your street and if your house is accessible.
Okay. All right.
From there, we would have you, you'd be assigned to the men's dorm, it looks like, there.
Okay.
And we'd take care of getting you some food.
Are there any card games underway yet at the men's dorm?
Well, we'll have to check that out when we get you down there.
Okay. All right. Because I could certainly spend a lot of time here if there's a deck of cards and some coffee. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome.
And what is your name, please?
Marcia.
And Marcia, you're a Red Cross volunteer
Yes,
and
I
a
am.
Concord CERT volunteer, am I right?
Yes, I am.
Excellent, thank you. Okay. So, let me see, I'm going to work my way down the lane then here toward Health Services. Thank you very
Great.
much.
Nice to meet you.
So here we are. I'm looking around. This is an unusual shelter in that everything is contained in one room for this simulation, and we might in fact be using various parts of the high school if this were some significant large-scale event where we were caring for lots of folks. Okay, let's have a look here. Well, good morning, friends. I've shaken all the snow off my boots here, and I've registered, and I'm told that I'm to head over to Health Services, but I thought I'd stop here and ask you folks just what goes on here at Information. Is information important in an emergency? I imagine it is, because we all arrive here somewhat confused, don't we?
Yes, I think so, and we don't know what's going on because our power may be out and we don't have any way of getting information at home except to look out the window and say, well, gee, it's cold inside and it doesn't look too good outside, and I think maybe I don't want to stay here any longer because I'm cold, I can't cook my dinner, and maybe, the woman I just talked to had her house damaged.
Oh dear.
And she's worried about her cat, and she's 84, and I'm really glad she came.
Yeah.
So I would say you came to the right place. We do have information from the police and fire department about what's going on, and they have ham radio information. So even though they can't watch the TV either, they can get information in other ways. And we get that information, and as you see, we post that information as soon as we get it.
Yeah, okay.
So actually it's looking pretty good. They've got 3/4 of the main roads cleared, although if it keeps snowing, I don't know if they'll be able to keep up with it. And some parts of town still have telephone service. I don't know about which parts that is. They didn't give us that information.
I was given a ride here, and when I left my house, my phone wasn't working.
Okay.
If my family from out of town were to call me and not reach me, and they were to worry, they might be calling the police here in Concord. Would the police know that I'm here, or is there a way that my family could learn that I'm stuck here?
I believe that if they can check with the shelter can say, yes, you are registered at this shelter, and that you're okay.
Good, okay.
So that
All
should
right.
reassure them.
And is there a payphone here where I could call out?
I don't know whether the phones are working here.
Yeah, okay. And even if they were working one moment, they might not be working the next in a big event, of course. And public phones, payphones are hard to find these days.
That's right. I know they used to have a phone here at the high school, but I think they tore it out because people had cell phones.
Although we did hear that one of the features of this high school as a shelter is that they do have some old-fashioned analog phone lines in addition to the digital phone lines that are frequent everywhere.
Oh, okay, that's something I didn't know.
The analog lines are a little more robust and might help us out.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes the internet can be very helpful, and we've got good internet access here. So I'm told that might help us out as well.
Well, if Verizon and
Comcast
are
down.
down,
Yes.
that's what we're worried about.
Okay.
Is
Well,
that if
they're
they're
not totally
up.
down.
Yeah, I don't know which parts of town they're working.
Okay. And then, of course, we have our radio station WIQH, and they're working with us, and they've got emergency power and the local cable access. If we have traditional power, they're up, but they don't have an emergency generator yet themselves.
Right, and they go out frequently, so we don't know.
Correct.
We apparently still have power because all these lights are on, and I assume that if we didn't, the generator would have not left all the lights on.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you. And would you be good enough to introduce yourself?
Oh, yes, sure. I'm Evan Phillips, and this is Arlene. And
Let's go to,
excuse me. She's got some clients.
Yes.
So
okay.
she needs to deal with them.
I see.
Let me just get Jesse, okay? And I'll take you over to Jesse. Okay. All right.
So we have some evacuees here seeking some help, I see.
My spouse won't evacuate.
Your spouse has stayed back at the house, would not come. I see. Okay. And that obviously concerns you. And is your phone down at home?
Well, the power line fell down, and
Oh,
my
dear.
cell phone got eaten by a shark, so
That'll happen in these emergencies. The sharks are everywhere. Yeah. Okay. And it just shows us we have to be ready for anything here.
That's right.
Okay.
So my cell phone got eaten by a shark, and my husband, he's just like, the evil tidal wave of doom is coming, and he's not leaving.
So I think
He doesn't want to leave the house because it was the house he grew up in, but
I think we need some health services here for this shark operation.
Cell phone eaten by a shark recently?
Well, it was a couple.
Went to on a cruise.
Well, it was last week. I was at White's Pond, and
Oh, well, good. So you don't live on White's Pond.
no, I don't live on White's
Okay,
Pond,
so
but I was
don't worry
visiting
about
White.
your husband being eaten.
No, my husband's not going to be eaten by the shark, but I was at White's Pond, and well, it's too cold to be swimming, obviously, but I was sitting on the beach and having a picnic with my husband and my daughter, and then the shark came out of the water and kind of wiggled on the beach. I got my cell phone and wiggled back in, and so the cell phone doesn't bother me. I was just going to get another one today, but now...
Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to set up a message board so that if he calls in, we're going to put that message up on a Post-it note, and they'll all be alphabetical so you can find them. And you can put a note up on the Post-it note board also. If he arrives, he'll be able to check the board and see a note from you. So we'll have that board set up so that people can set up their own communication links by looking at that board.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll be able to know when my spouse decides to evacuate?
And what I have found to be very calming in these emergencies are munchkins.
I've already had 10.
Okay. Oh, well, maybe
5.
perhaps you had too many. Yeah, okay. Let's move along. Thank you. You look like local EMS.
That's it.
Come on over.
That's them. We're just here to
Nobody's
monitor
just
what
here.
they're doing.
Okay. You're on the rig outside, I
Yes.
know. Yeah, okay. So what we have here are some Concord firefighters who are here supporting the shelter drill. And, of course, we've got other volunteers who aren't public safety professionals, and we'll meet them in a minute. But first, introduce yourself. A lot of people know you in town.
Ed Conlon.
Ed, yeah, okay, thank you.
Brian Whitney.
Hi, Brian. So thanks for being here. We know the chief has been around.
Yes.
And we also know that in any drill like this, we've always got a plan for the simulated emergencies and the real emergencies so that we can distinguish one from the other, because we've got a lot of people walking around with alleged problems today, but we can always have a real problem crop up. So our rule in a drill like this is if somebody is here simulating some issue, medical or otherwise, they must tell the truth. If we ask them a direct question, are you faking, or something like that, they have to tell us the truth, so that if somebody presents with chest pains, we know whether it's the real thing or not, so that we can do the right thing. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Excuse me, folks. Do we have any real emergencies underway right here, right now? Or is it simulation only?
It is simulation only.
It's simulation only,
We just had
good.
this diabetic arrive.
Ah, okay, a
She's on
diabetic
this
emergency.
right.
Ah,
And we're going to have to ask her about her dietary habits and what she needs to eat.
excellent, yeah. Too much sugar on board or not
Oh, we
enough?
don't know.
Yeah, okay. So if I might interrupt a little bit further and say this, that in a real shelter, you'd never see a camera like this. We wouldn't allow the press in, but this is a mock, this is a simulation,
Right.
and we want to share the drill with a larger audience through local TV. So can you tell us who's working in the medical unit today? Who are the volunteers here, and do you represent other organizations? Is this CERT? Is this a Carlisle outfit?
It is a mixture of those two.
Aha, okay. And the name of the group from Carlisle?
They are right over there. You can ask that
Oh,
fellow
okay.
right there.
Medical
Here's one.
Reserve Corps.
Medical Reserve Corps, okay. That's the MRC. That's something we're going to hear about again. We haven't established one in Concord, but we're seeing more and more communities get on board with this idea of getting allied health professionals together, ready to support paid public safety professionals. So this is where you would do what kind of health services? Traditional first aid?
Traditional first aid. The majority of people we've been dealing with today have a variety of anxiety issues. They lost their glasses. They need their kids notified. They calm down after 15 minutes of chatting, and then they go off to the dormitory area.
Got it. Okay. And every single one of these problems is important when it gets here, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Every single one.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is part of the drill that we have someone who's come into the shelter. We give him the scenario just now of chest pain and shortness of breath after shoveling.
Dear.
The Concord Fire Department EMTs are going to assess the situation. I just wanted to let you know.
Great. And do we have CPR trained people in an AED here today?
Not at the
Answer
moment.
yes. Good. Okay. Wonderful. Good. In fact, my rule with shelters, I'm not sure about yours, mine has always been we want to have the population stay exactly the same. It doesn't go up and it doesn't go down. Okay. Thank you. Reverend Lombard.
Yes, sir.
So thank you for being here. Would you be good enough to introduce yourself? And I know you're an important part of this service team today. What brings you here today?
I'm John Lombard. I'm the senior minister at Trinitarian Congregational Church. And one of the reasons I'm here today, especially in times of an emergency, is because a lot of people come in and they're very distressed. They're distraught about all kinds of things that have happened to them personally. Their families, many of them are cold, they've lost power. Some of them are in pretty distressed circumstances. So very often people need willing ears to listen to them in very patient and kind of understanding ways to offer them some encouragement and support. And I think that's part of what we try to do as the spiritual and emotional component of the support team. So that's one of the reasons I'm here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. We know what a big difference it makes.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Excuse us, I will say once again for our audience that in a real shelter we'd never see cameras poking in on conversations like this. Carol, would you be good enough to introduce yourself and tell us what's going on here?
Hi, I'm Carol Cataldo and I'm a social worker and I'm working at the mental health section of our shelter today. We have some young ladies who have some serious mental health issues that have been caused by our big chill, and so we're talking about how to get them some relief for that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So we understand that we've got the MRC paying immediate attention to a person in distress, possibly a cardiac emergency. Okay, so we're going to head out to the front. Sometimes the cardiac emergency begins with a state of denial and things take a minute or two longer than they should. Hope that's not the case here. So we see that Concord EMS immediately got their gurney in here and they're doing some patient assessment. And we see the pulse oximeter on the patient. We're looking for O2 levels as a sign of cardiac function. We've got a gentleman on the BP cuff here. And we can see our gentleman who's our actor, our simulation here has a tag around his neck to tell folks just what's going on. And it reads shortness of breath and chest pressure after shoveling snow. And he's getting the best care possible from Concord EMS. He looks very jovial for a patient. And you can see the portable equipment here that we've got. If you have to get yourself in trouble, Concord is a good place for that to happen, where you've got this level of care going on. Okay, and we'll pan around a little bit. We see our shelter manager, Dottie Bernard here. Dottie, you got your hands full all of a sudden.
We do. We've had a wonderful turnout of both volunteers and Concord residents here to check out what mass sheltering is all about in Concord.
And tell me about preparation for a shelter. Did this preparation start yesterday or the day before?
It actually started a few years ago when some of our volunteers here took Mass Bay Red Cross training in sheltering operations. We also have some CERT volunteers, which is a new initiative here in Concord for Citizen Emergency Response Team. They're here also. We have the Carlisle Medical Reserve Corps, we have some Girl Scouts, so it's a whole community event.
Excellent, thank you. Well, that's a good segue for us. I think we'll go find those scouts right now.
Good luck.
Thank you, Dottie. We'll be back to you.
Thank you.
So, come around, meet Mr. Breen, and normally we wouldn't have a camera in a shelter because we want to respect people's privacy. However, here for training we have the camera. And tell me, you all have been helping today. What have you been doing? Want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Nicole. We've been doing some CPR, on the dummy, to, just in case we were ever in the situation when we had to do CPR. So we've been practicing CPR.
Aha, good. Introduce and tell me more about that CPR. What did we learn today?
My name is Selena, and we learned that you have to do 30 pushes on the chest and 2 breaths.
Aha, this would be for someone who doesn't have any signs of life. We would be artificially keeping them alive, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Until the rescue squad got here. Thank you. Please introduce.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. Like Nicole and Selena said, we've been working on practicing CPR so that if we really do ever get stuck in the situation, we know what we're doing.
Excellent. Chelsea, you were also practicing with that AED, weren't you? That business with the sticky pads on the chest of the patient so that we could have that life-saving tool help us if it wanted to.
And hi, my name's Kendra, and we had to learn that we had to have protection on the patient's mouth because they might have a virus or airborne symptom that we can get.
Good. It protects us from each other, doesn't it? Because don't we all have bacteria in our mouths and so on? So if we did mouth-to-mouth breathing, we would want to protect both people, wouldn't we? Yeah, thank you. Excellent. You don't look like you're very cold and can't stop shivering, but that's what you're pretending today in this big chill exercise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Introduce, please.
Name's Jasmine.
Uh-huh. Did you get some practice over at the CPR station?
Yeah.
And have you reported to people that you are very chilly? Or are you about to do that now?
I'm about to do that now.
Ah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. What do you think she needs? Somebody very cold, can't stop shivering. Blanket, maybe sip some warm liquids and so on. Now, when somebody's shivering, what's the body doing?
Shaking.
It's trying to warm itself up. So shivering is a good signal for us. It tells us that that's a person who's very chilly. And shivering is a dangerous sign, but it's better than not shivering. Because if they stop shivering, it means that their body has quit trying. So when we see them shivering, we want to get to work and give them a hand. So introduce you.
Hi, my name is Janice.
And Janine, any other ideas about what you've been doing so far today?
Well, basically they have said it all. We've been doing CPR and it's really good that we're learning it now, so, because you never know when it can happen. It can happen anytime, any place. So, yeah.
You know, a lot of times people will take a CPR class because their employer thinks it's a good idea, or maybe the Scouts thinks it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Where, however, do we do most of our rescues? Most people do their rescue work right at home, because that's where we spend our time, with our loved ones. Now, I want you to introduce somebody else. There's a dear friend of ours over here who's not on camera yet, who's your Scout leader. You want to introduce her?
Yes, this is my Scout leader named Miss Stacy. Well, that's what we call her. And she's really good.
I was going to say that. Yeah, I think
yes.
You're right. How'd you get so lucky to get a Scout leader like Stacy Bowen?
Well, she's my bus monitor as well.
Okay.
So she told me about it, and I really wanted to join, so I just joined.
How fortunate. Good. So, Stacy, thanks for bringing your crew here.
Absolutely.
You do a lot of training with the girls, don't you?
I do. They get to go so many different places. Whitewater rafting, so obviously water safety and CPR are very important to them, as well as just out and about hiking.
In fact, the Girl Scouts is one of those rather progressive, safety-conscious groups that requires this training of their leaders.
That's correct.
They don't
All
recommend
leaders.
it, they require it,
That's
don't
correct.
they? Yeah.
Especially with camping, we have to have a certified camper who has CPR, as well as the leaders should have CPR. And no matter what event we do, everyone's required to have at least one CPR person available at every event.
And in Concord, there's no excuse for us not to have a CPR class. There's plenty of classes around town. The high school hosts them all the time, for example, as one of the sites, and the hospital does a lot of health education.
And we have an EMT who comes and to the Scout House, so Scout leaders can come, and we also have in our a leader who is registered to give CPR training among us.
Perfect. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, girls. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, we have made our way through a few stations. Let's go see how people are doing in the bunk area here. Now, one thing we'll say about shelters, if we're still on, is that when we open a shelter, we have many objectives. One, however, we never forget, and that is we open a shelter with the intention of closing it. We don't want to rely on shelters. We want to get people on their feet and back in their homes comfortably where they belong as quickly as we can. So although a shelter will be open as long as necessary, our purpose is to help each other get back on our feet and get our homes warm and open again so that we can return. So Charles, I know you've been a volunteer for a number of events like this. Yep. And a CERT trainee. These are the bunk areas, if I'm correct, and we might have a dozen cots or we might have 200. We don't know. It depends on the event.
That is true, right. And if these cots were, if we had a very large crowd, you would have these extending over probably about half the floor. And we'd have our somewhat different layout, I'm sure, of the various stations.
And I'm told that you would be quite, how shall I say it, quite clear about the rules, lights out and so on, so that everybody could cohabitate with safety, with civility, and so on. We can't, each one of us, do it our own way. This is not Holiday Inn.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, for example, no alcohol, no smoking inside, and people are going to want, and I guess the pets have been taken care of, before they come in.
Mm-hmm. A word about pets. The town is working on satellite sites that are suitable for pets so that they wouldn't be coexisting in a shelter for people with all of our health and sanitation needs. We've got enough of those needs for humans, so the pets would be going to other locations around town.
That's right.
Okay. And if I'm correct, the situation in the dorms is one that only works if everybody cooperates, because this can go from an exciting camp-out environment to a kind of sustained, difficult time rather quickly, can't it?
That's right. I think you've mentioned before that we have, our objective is to have 50 volunteers for 100 people being taken care of. So that way we're hoping to maintain the kind of respect and so forth that we all need to live together.
And that's quite a ratio. Yeah. 50 volunteers and 100 evacuees. And what do we have in total? We have a need to care for 150 of us, because the volunteers have to do good care for each other as well as the evacuees.
Right.
It's a big job. It's a big load.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
So we've been over to the CPR station. We see Jonathan doing some training here. Hi, ladies. Looks like you've calmed down a little bit. You've got some donuts on board. Okay. I'm very pleased.
And I was able to call my husband, but now my pet hermit crab named Fluffy, he's still in his cage.
Oh dear.
And the snow, it's just gonna pile up on him and then he's gonna die. He used to scuttle around so much. I'll really miss him.
However, he's got a good winter coat.
Yeah,
correct?
That's true. He has his shell, and there have been survival stories, but I'm still really worried.
Okay. Although we can also be very hopeful, can't we? And we're doing the right thing by being here, aren't we?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for all your help.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay, what is this for?
This is for CCTV, Concord Carlisle Television, which supports all the town efforts to get us ready to help each other if we had an emergency in town.
Okay, so are we on TV?
You're not live right now, no. But this will be going out on Channel 8 very soon. I beg your pardon. We're changing that every day. We're getting more viewers because it's getting better every day because we're doing more things like this. Do you go to CCHS?
She does, and I go to
Okay. Because what you should do is head over to the studio at the back of I Building, and you'll see it's brand spanking new. It's a wonderful new studio. We've done a lot of work on it lately. It's going to be a great resource for all the students here and all the teachers. So scoot on over and meet Mr. Page, the director over there. All right, he's new in town. He needs a meet and greet, so he feels at home here. Okay? Thank you. Thanks, Jonathan. So, Mr. Vanderhoof, how long have you and yours been in this town?
Well, we've been around for 102 years.
And you've seen more snowstorms than some of us, right?
That's true. That's true. We're usually the first place people come to pick up their emergency supplies, and we're quite glad we've been asked to come here today.
Well, Scott Vanderhoof is the proprietor of one of the stores that has really helped the town put goods out that will educate us as to what's necessary so we can be self-reliant in our homes. And of course, Vanderhoof's is well known for its Mill Dam location and its 102 years of service to Concord and Carlisle citizens. I'm going to give you the microphone, Scott. Tell us what you have here.
Okay. Well, what we have here is we have our battery-operated turbo torches. These are LED flashlights that are very long-lasting because they use a LED chip, little microchip. They're extremely bright, and they give you long service hours. In addition to that, we have some of these multi-purpose tools down here, which come with pliers, wire cutters. We've got bottle openers, knives. It's a very useful tool to have around the house. We have the duct tape, plastic sheeting. If you need to cover windows and doors from different storms, if a window is blown in, you can cover that over. Sterno products, these are alcohol gel products that can be used in a little Sterno stove down here. This is going to provide cooking for heating up water for soups, making coffee. They last probably about 4 hours per canister. Table lamps, battery-operated table lamps are always a good thing to have. The fire department would like to see us stay away from candles. These battery-operated lamps can operate from 16 to 23 hours on a set of batteries. Flashlights are always a good thing, as well as plenty of batteries on hand. We have hand crank flashlights as well, which will give you probably an hour of use with just a minute of cranking. Can openers, a whistle, aim and flame lighters, disposable gloves and masks. Radios are always a good thing to have on hand. We have weather radios that operate on batteries. It's just a simple AM/FM radio for $11 will provide you with news and important information to get you through any storm. CO detectors, as well as fire extinguishers, always good to have. These battery-operated candles you see down here can operate actually about 20 days on a set of batteries. Not real bright, but certainly a lot safer than an ordinary candle. And they can give you 20 days of use with a automatic on-off feature so that you don't waste batteries during the daytime. First aid kit, a very important item to have on hand. That kit retails for only like $16, and it's got everything you could possibly need, from Band-Aids to bandages, swabs, dressings. That's also very important, as well as a whistle with a compass, and that pretty much sums things up. The water jug, always important to have plenty of water on hand. Court?
Good. Well, thank you. And I think if people look at their Red Cross preparedness guides, if they come pay you a visit, and do it not minutes before the storm hits, but days or weeks before the storm hits, then there's a lot more comfort that when crisis strikes, people can take care of themselves. My hope in my family is that I will have done enough preparation so that when a crisis hits, we won't have our first thought be get in the car and drive somewhere. Our first thought will be calm down, have a snack, play a game of cards, keep an eye on the TV, listen to the radio, and when town officials want us to leave our neighborhood, they'll tell us, and we'll do what we're advised to do. Scotty, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, what we're going to do now is swing around to the dining hall. During daylight hours in a shelter, the dining hall is where the action is, and there is, in a emergency requiring a shelter, a great deal of emotional discomfort and instability. Daily life as we know it suddenly is gone, and we're in a strange place. We're reliant on the kindness of strangers, and one of the biggest factors in restabilizing ourselves emotionally and having a sense that we are masters of our lives is to have a calendar with food so we can sit down with other people, get a warm meal in us, chat with others, and have that sense of normalcy begin to return even in the shelter. So here we are over at the dining hall, and we see that it's breakfast time here at the dining hall. You haven't got the soup and sandwiches going yet. We assume that there's a team of volunteers in the kitchen putting together hundreds of bologna sandwiches and various kinds of soup right now. But tell me, you've been rather busy over here, Celia, with people coming through, have you not?
We have.
Okay.
It's one of their favorite stops.
And Celia, you're a CERT volunteer, if
I
I'm
am.
correct. Good.
Correct.
Okay. And we've got the all-important munchkins. We know that
Right.
no shelter can run without donuts and coffee.
Yep.
And we're very health conscious, of course. These are all approved donuts here with
Absolutely.
no trans fats and so on, I'm sure. Okay. And Ingrid, you're a CERT volunteer as well,
Yes,
am I
I am.
correct? Okay, and a local educator, we know. And we're not plying these youngsters with coffee, I hope. This is strictly cocoa over here. Am I right, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to check. And are they taking good care of you over here?
Yes, they are.
Uh-huh, okay.
I can get my inhaler soon.
Uh-huh, okay. All right.
And they helped me with my bruised leg.
They did. Well, let me get a front and center on you, sir, because you're the filthiest person we've seen today.
Well, I got beat up, so.
You did?
Yeah.
Did it?
Someone offered me drugs, I said no, and they beat me up.
Well, I would hope you would say no and take care of yourself. Yeah, okay. And it looks like you made good decisions there to protect yourself and get in here where other people could give you a hand, too. So, what do we have to do? Dunk you into the shower now?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, at a shelter, if you stayed here long enough, sooner or later, we'd get out the hose, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd be the first one, wouldn't you? Okay. Well, I do admire the outfit. I know you did that just for our benefit today. What's your name?
Steven Armanetti.
Okay, great you're here. Thanks for helping us out today. And what's your first name, sir?
Sage Han.
And do you have a game today?
Already had one.
Already had one. How'd it go?
Good.
And you played in the snow, in the middle of this raging snowstorm, and then they evacuated the football field and sent you all in here. Is that correct? Say yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Good decision to come in here and have some donuts. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Good. Take care,
It's
gentlemen.
only the third quarter.
It's only the third quarter, and he's in here snagging donuts. Well, I guess we'll look the other way on that one, won't we? Okay. Don't tell his coach. So let's, Frank, let's take a look. What have we got on the wall here? This would be pretty typical of a shelter, wouldn't it? We've got some rules and regs so that we all behave ourselves and have some simple agreements about cooperating. Because this certainly isn't a fun house. This is a shelter. And we're pretty strict about the rules, of course. Good. Okay, let's go talk to our patient here. So I understand you met Concord's finest.
I certainly did, and they did an excellent job.
And they sent you back to the donut table. I'm concerned. We're gonna get them back for nutrition counseling, I think. Okay, well, you certainly look great, and they took good care of you here. And I imagine, like some folks who have some chest discomfort, you and I might be in a state of denial for a while.
Absolutely.
And then somebody...
this will go away in a minute.
Yeah, this will go away in a minute. And somebody who is quite assertive and caring says, oh, no, 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 we're going to sort this out now and give us the checkup that we need and deserve.
It's really a life decision you have to make in a very short time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So looks like you certainly did the right thing and got the clean bill of health, and you're back at it as a shelter volunteer. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on. I see people chatting on radios. That must mean it's the Concord Hams. We're really fortunate to have an active ham outfit and ham radio courses going on. So I wonder if we can interrupt and have you folks grab the microphone, introduce yourself to CCTV, and tell us about Concord Radio. Would you be so kind?
Sure. My name is Zeph Wheelock. I'm an amateur radio operator, KB1 KVA. We're demonstrating the uses of radios in an emergency. We have many different types of radios. We have from a small radio that you can get at Costco's for a couple of dollars, $5 to $10, $15, that will go about half-mile range. And then there are, stepping up from that, you can do another one called GMRS, which will requires a license and be able to get you between 5 to 20 miles an hour, and all the way up to amateur radio, which requires a test to get your license, and that is unlimited and be able to get you into any type of communications that you ever need. We use amateur radio to communicate with the police department for any type of emergencies, and for a emergency that might happen. And
you're on live now with Concord's Emergency Operations Center for real, aren't you? They've set up their
We're doing a test with them right now.
Okay, so that third floor room at the police and fire headquarters can be transformed instantly into an EOC, and it is in fact an EOC right now. So if all lines were down between here and headquarters, we would be instantly relying on you folks for communication, not only internally in town, but in fact wherever we needed to go, you'd be hopping to other communities and beyond if necessary.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. And could you also, Zeph, as you go on, tell us about training? If I'm not technically inclined, don't have one of these yet, where does a fellow start?
Well, with the basic one with FRS, there is no training. You can get, it's like a walkie-talkie that you can talk with your friend, has limited range. With GMRS, you can send $35, $40 to the government to get a license, and that will allow you to communicate a little further.
And that's this nice.
This is actually amateur radio.
Okay.
So this is the full-blown test of about a good 60, 70 questions that are picked from a pool of 300, and that will allow you to communicate all over the world.
And that's the license, the test that gets me the license after some training with the Concord Hams.
Exactly. And this one actually is a limited range that will go maybe about 15, 20, 30 miles communicating with repeaters inside the towns. There are, if you want to go higher than that, you can get a mobile base station. And if you get a good enough tower, you can talk to people in Greece and any type of thing. In Katrina, there were people communicating with Massachusetts to get information, etc. If the people were stuck down in Louisiana, trying to figure out if somebody was okay, kind of a wellness message.
Yeah, okay, good. Now, are you getting live reports out of EOC now about the status around town, and you're bringing that information back into the shelter? Is that so?
We can hear it. I think that the information is posted in the information area, and they would have a runner going from the our amateur radio station inside a room to deliver that message over to the information booth, so everyone in the shelter would be able to see it.
And can individual clients, evacuees who are stuck here, being sheltered here, can they get essential messages out through you folks?
Yes, they can, with the permission of the shelter manager.
Okay, so there is some mechanism where
Yes.
there is a sorting to make sure it's the priority message
Correct.
going out.
Somebody would take a message from somebody. We had someone very recently here who had a family of 5 stuck in a car at the train station in a blizzard, and they got the permission from the shelter manager, came over. I communicated over to the net control to tell the situation. They told the EOC, and the EOC will tell the police department where to find the family.
Got it. Okay, good. Would you be good enough to introduce your colleagues?
Sure. This is Rich Fiver and Lee Music.
Just to add to what Zeph was saying, independent of the shelter, with these smaller devices, you could have neighborhoods organized that the neighborhoods, with a coordinator, could be communicating among themselves of someone needing medical attention or someone having some difficult circumstances. And that neighborhood coordinator could in turn communicate to a ham operator such as Zeph and get into the public safety department, police or fire for some type of emergency help or assistance that they need. But the idea is that the neighborhood could communicate and help one another in case of extreme disaster.
Good, thank you.
And the beauty of these devices is that they're very cheap, and there's something you can use in your family even when there's no emergency and get experience with it. And we highly recommend every family get one of these. This is a Motorola model, and they can run $20 to $50, and you'll use them the rest of your life.
One of the ways these family radios are used in neighborhoods is an outgrowth of the Concord Y2K work, where neighborhoods in Concord were established and defined such that there were a total of about 70 of them. The Concord Y2K neighborhood-based approach of taking care of ourselves and our neighbors morphed into CNN, the Concord Neighborhood Network, and now each neighborhood should have some sense, whether it's related to CNN or independent to its own neighborhood, some sense of how it wants to organize itself and communicate with each other so that these 70 neighborhoods can have points of contact, and those points of contact can leapfrog information from neighborhoods to public safety in an emergency. The idea with neighborhoods being prepared and organized a bit among themselves is that individuals wouldn't all besiege 911 with calls, some of which might be handled as neighborhood emergencies, not as public safety response. Neighborhoods, when trained, organized, and ready to go, can distinguish what are the needs they can handle for each other right there, right then, and which ones, in fact, should immediately be escalated to 911, even during the busy, overwhelmed times that might be so during a crisis. So thanks to our radio operators, we've got communication even when traditional communication is down. And we're going to move to another station, and that is discharge. You have to get in through a chat at a table, and we leave the shelter through a chat. When we're ready to go, there's one way to leave, and you're not going to make it tough on me, but you do want to have some kind of exit interview to make certain that I've got a plan when I walk out that door and don't get myself into trouble all over again. Am I right?
Okay. My name is Marie Chung, and when people come here to leave, we want to know where they're going and who will be taking care of them when they go if they need care. And that's really it. We don't ask too many questions. We want to make sure that they're safe, that they know where they're going and how they're getting there. So.
Fine. Okay. And this is not a situation where you have the legal authority to hold me here. If I want to leave, I leave.
Right. I just need to make sure, I need to check you out because we need to know who's left in the shelter. We need to know how many people are here. So at the end of the day, we hope that everyone who's registered come in, that we have paperwork to say that they've gone and where they've gone to.
Good. And you report this to the Red Cross, perhaps, so the Red Cross has some data that allows them to give Concord some financial assistance if Concord was in severe need for some reimbursement after all of this service that was rendered, for example, or even state officials and town officials might want to know how many people we helped and what kind of help was rendered here.
The registration forms will have all that information.
Good. Okay. Thank you. So, Terry, did you go through the CERT training?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us a little bit about this CERT training? 'Cause I think that's a great place to end our tour, because for many of us it was the CERT training that started us on the path to become volunteers to help with something like this.
Well, the CERT training is teaching us just to be sort of a backup to the public officials who will need assistance in a variety of areas. Many of us would be working in a shelter in case that happens. Some of us would be assisting with paperwork for medical personnel who would be dealing with any mass casualty incident. The CERT training is very helpful for individuals who want to know how to deal with emergencies also in their neighborhood and in their homes. So I'd recommend it highly to anybody who's interested in helping their families and helping their community.
Thank you very much. As we wind up our visit to the shelter today, the next CERT training, we should know, will be offered in the winter of '07. It starts on February 6th, and that CERT training, again, that means Community Emergency Response Team. It is a training that provides a wonderful skill set for helping others, but just as importantly, perhaps more importantly, gives us skills to help ourselves and help our families. Again, February 6th is the next series. It will be occurring at both the high school and the Concord Police Fire Headquarters, and you'll see full training details in the Adult and Community Education catalog. That course bulletin will be out in December. Do look for it there, and also consider other training, first aid and CPR, and ham radio training as well. These are all good steps on a path towards some citizen reliance so that we can take care of ourselves. Finally, what I want to do is acknowledge Frank Breen, the camera person. He's the fellow on the other end of the camera that you can't see. Frank is the founder of Carlisle Video. He's a professional videographer in town, as well as a volunteer, often with CCTV. If you've enjoyed excellent sports coverage, Frank is probably the guy who made it happen. If you've seen the Authors Outlet and enjoyed that, you know that is Frank's creation. He's a prolific producer and does wonderful work and is more than willing to help with special events like this when his time permits. But he's one of the busiest guys in town, so we're very lucky to have him join us this morning. Thank you, Frank. And that's a wrap from the shelter.